Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into an absolutely wild matchup from the FIFA World Cup 2026. We are breaking down the clash between Uzbekistan and Colombia. I am so pumped to guide you through this because, honestly, it's got everything you could possibly want in a football story. We're talking a massive global stage, incredibly heavy expectations, some crazy swings in momentum, and just the pure unbridled emotion of the sport. We're going to use the exact highlights commentary from this match to piece together the whole narrative arc of the game. We'll look at exactly how the momentum shifted back and forth and how that final 1-3 result in favor of Colombia actually came together.
So right off the bat, the big question we're exploring today is simple but really profound. How does an underdog handle the immense pressure of their first ever World Cup match? I mean, it's the classic David versus Goliath setup, right? You've got a team stepping out under the brightest lights in the entire sports world, facing off against the seasoned powerhouse squad. Do they crumble under that weight, or do they step up to the plate? The commentary we're looking at today gives us this fascinating, on-the-ground look at exactly how this underdog managed those opening jitters against relentless pressure from a tournament veteran.
All right, let's get into it. Section 1, a historic World Cup debut. Uzbekistan steps onto the global stage. Literally, before a single ball is even kicked, the commentary establishes this tone of profound national significance. The sheer emotional weight of this moment really comes down to just one word: first. The source audio is super emphatic about this being a, quote, very proud moment because it is the first time ever that Uzbekistan is playing at a World Cup. Just take a second to think about what that means for the guys on the pitch and the fans in those stands. Decades of trying, and they finally arrived. The word history is thrown out there right out of the gate by the commentators, which really underscores that this isn't just another match, it's a milestone. Stepping onto the grass, the contrast between these two sides was just stark. On one hand, you've got Uzbekistan, carrying the heavy historic gravity of a proud first-ever national debut. But then, on the other hand, you've got the Colombian side, and for them, the expectations are entirely different. The commentary explicitly describes the vibe around the veteran South American side as, quote, party time in Mexico City. So Colombia isn't just happy to be there, they're there to celebrate, execute, and completely dominate. It's this incredible clash of atmospheres before the tactical battle even starts. Moving right along to Section 2, Colombia's early attacking pressure. The veteran side pushes hard.
Okay, so the whistle blows and Colombia wastes absolutely zero time asserting their dominance. Their initial wave of attacks was literally overwhelming. The source paints this picture of just constant, frantic defending for Uzbekistan. Right away, John Arias creates early danger, basically letting the whole stadium know Colombia means business. Then, we hear about this nice reverse pass that finds Luis Diaz. Diaz unloads a shot that actually smashes off the post. Though the commentary does note the goalkeeper managed to get a really crucial touch on it to save the goal. And it wasn't just individual moments of brilliance either. Colombia was flooding the pitch with, quote, so many runners, specifically calling out Mundo charging forward. It was an absolute barrage.
Which brings us to Section 3, the underdog strikes back. The moment of sheer pandemonium. Just when it seemed like the veteran team was going to completely overrun the debutants, the energy totally flips. The live audio transcription caught it perfectly. What a moment Uzbekistan level a bus by Zulf has sent that small pocket of fans into sheer pandemonium. It's such an incredible sentence. Now you'll definitely notice some quirky auto captions in there, translating Uzbekistan to Uzbekistan and the goal scorer as Zulf, but the raw emotion absolutely shines right through those transcription errors. The underdog levels the game. The commentary points out that small pocket of fans erupting into sheer pandemonium. It's this pure, unexpected bolt of joy that completely resets the entire narrative of the match. But how exactly did that historic goal happen? Well, tactically speaking, the commentary gives us a quick glimpse into the mechanics of the build-up. We hear the ball was forced, quote, albeit wide back in by Hanzov. Again, gotta love the raw transcribed spelling there. But the action itself is super clear. The underdogs didn't give up on the play. They forced the ball from a wide position right back into the danger zone, which set the stage for that pandemonium-inducing equalizer. They really worked for that historic moment.
Now on to Section 4. Diaz reclaims the lead. The giant wakes up.
You know, the true defining characteristic of a powerhouse team is how they react to adversity. Colombia had just been shocked. The game was tied. But they weren't about to let the underdog story write its final chapter that early. The giant was wide awake, and Colombia responded with this breathless, rapid-fire sequence. First up, Puerto goes on the charge, instantly putting the pressure right back on the Uzbekistan defense. Next, the Uzbekistan goalkeeper actually comes up with a good save, doing absolutely everything he can to keep the dream alive. But then, the reality of playing a top-tier team sets in. Luis Diaz is right there, perfectly positioned to re-establish Colombia's lead by bearing the rebound. It's a clinical, ruthless sequence of cause and effect.
Section 5. Sealing the final victory. The inevitable conclusion.
Heading into the frantic final minutes, Colombia kept pressing their advantage to make absolutely sure there were no more surprises. The commentators described this chaotic scene with Uzbekistan desperately trying to survive and launch a counter. We hear that Elias returns to the action, then right in the middle of the scramble, somehow Vargas keeps a hold of it. And finally, the nail in the coffin. A final cross comes soaring in, and a goal is finished off the bar. Colombia emphatically locks down their win, despite a really hard-fought finish from the underdogs.
Looking back at the whole journey we just went on, the flow of this match was a total emotional roller coaster. We kick off with the heavy emotion of the historic debut at the first whistle. The early game is totally dominated by Colombia hitting the post and applying massive pressure. Then, out of nowhere, the mid-game shocker where Uzbekistan equalizes, creating sheer pandemonium. In the late game, reality sets back in as Diaz scores off the rebound. And finally, at full time, that final goal seals a 1-3 victory for Colombia. It's a timeline that perfectly captures the dramatic narrative we pulled from the source.
Now, just as a fun little detail to wrap up our breakdown, let's look at the raw source data for a second. Live auto captions can be pretty hilarious. While Colombia's 3 goals were clearly captured, the raw text transcribed Uzbekistan as Forbistan, Uzbekistan, and at the very end proudly declared, "It's finished as Pakistan 1, Colombia 3. Too funny. But of course, for the record, the actual historic final score officially stands as Uzbekistan 1, Colombia 3.
Which really leaves us with one final thought-provoking question to chew on. After pushing a giant like Colombia, what does this historic 1-3 debut mean for the future of Uzbekistan on the world stage? I mean, yes, they took the loss, but they went toe-to-toe with a terrifying veteran team, absorbed an immense amount of pressure, and created a moment of sheer magic that their fans are never going to forget. They proved, without a doubt, that they belong on that pitch. What you should really take away from this explainer isn't just the final score, but the incredible resilience shown by a team stepping into the global spotlight for the very first time. It definitely leaves you eagerly waiting to see what they're going to pull off in their next match. Thank you so much for joining me for this breakdown, and definitely keep your eyes peeled for more World Cup action.